Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well. So this right here is the new Ibanez AZES Essentials. And at first, it may look like your standard budget level guitar, but there's actually more going on under the hood here. Ibanez have really dived into the minutia to engineer the ultimate beginner guitar, and in the process have inadvertently created one of the best pre-built mod project guitars on the planet. Let's take a closer look. The Ibanez AZES Essentials has been one of the most hyped Ibanez releases of the year ever since Guitar Center leaked that ad. You gotta love it, they spoil so many surprises. But as soon as you guys let me know this is a thing, I hit Ibanez up, they sent this one over, so huge thanks to you guys for keeping me on my toes, and to Ibanez for letting us check this guitar out together and for sponsoring the video. So as I mentioned at the beginning, Ibanez said they designed this AZES Essentials from the ground up to be the ultimate guitar series for new players. And in a lot of ways, they've succeeded. The name is kind of confusing because in their quest to make the ultimate beginner guitar, they've also changed a lot about the very popular AZ formula. So it's not exactly an amalgamation of the essential AZ parts, but it is an impressive guitar in its own right. But at this point, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about it. The first and most important point, this is an excellent player. And that is essential, and you're gonna hear me use that word a lot. And that's not just for beginners. It's not like now that I've been playing for a few years, I want a worse playing guitar. Although I do go out of my way to play a ton of Les Pauls, so maybe they're onto something. We move. But this doesn't feel like any Ibanez I've ever played before. The Ibanez I'm used to, flat 16-inch fingerboard radius, 25.5-inch scale length. My Axion label is a dope guitar, eye-catching finish, and hot-ass bare-knuckle aftermaths. This, though, it's much more traditional. Rounder 10-inch fingerboard radius and a shorter 25-inch scale length. The idea behind the rounder radius is that it's easier for beginners to do bar chords, and the shorter scale length is easier for wider bends. And I know we're talking about half inches, quarter inches, it really doesn't seem like that much, but when it comes to scale length, that makes a huge difference. Like, this is much slinkier. Now, bear in mind though, those aren't the same specs as the regular AZ series, which started about $1,300 for the premium and $2,000 for the prestige. So much more expensive than this guitar. Those have slightly flatter 12-inch radii and the Ibanez standard 25.5-inch scale length. So if you were hoping that this would be an entry-level version of the same guitar, that's not exactly what this is. But at least for my traditional guitar playing ass, this is one of the most comfortable Ibanez I've ever played, so take that as you will. For aesthetics, the color is cool. You know I love these pastel colors. The mint green looks great. The HSS version also comes in black and purest blue. And there's also a triple single version that comes in vermilion and ivory. Besides the pickup configuration, all the specs are the same across the series. Poplar body, bolt-on maple neck with a decently rounded joint for good upper fret access. Kind of unfortunate they couldn't do the whole heavily sculpted carve found on the regular AZs, but this is fine. The neck has kind of a flat back and a satin finish, which feels very quick and modern. Interestingly, while the regular AZs have 24 frets, the AZ Essentials has 22, so that's another difference. Then while Roasted Maple is almost a signature spec of the AZ series, like they were at the forefront of pushing that spec into mainstream production models, the fingerboard on the Essentials is Jatoba, which is a more sustainable alternative to Rosewood, and it really does feel quite similar to Rosewood, to me anyways. No Roasted Maple is understandable at this price, but still. That's one of the essential features, I feel, of the original AZs, and it's not on the AZ Essentials, which is kind of funny. Another thing about this being a $300 guitar, at that price point, quality varies a bit for any brand. On this particular unit, a couple of frets are a bit sharp, a couple others are scratchy on bends, but no dead notes, no fretting out that I noticed, and slightly rolled fingerboard edges. This guitar really does play excellently. It also helps that Ibanez hasn't used the traditional Strat volume knob position. They've moved it further down so it's not in the way of palm mutes. Seriously, gold star to Ibanez for that one. The trem feels great as well, like these curved saddles are so comfortable and should be a standard on lower cost guitars. Although I will admit, after doing all those aggressive dive bombs in the demo track, I did have to retune slightly every time. Like, I will admit to a fair amount of studio fuckery with those. Those were not single take tracks at all. But for light, tasteful vibrato, if you're not doing the stupid but fun, it's perfectly fine. As were the tuners. Since I'm keeping this guitar as a mod project, and I'll tell you more about why in a second, and I've got the spare parts, I'll probably replace them, but they are surprisingly stable on this particular unit. Another key change Ibanez has made with this guitar is the output jack. This may seem like such a trivial feature, but honestly, I think it's one of the coolest innovations Ibanez has brought to the budget guitar space ever. You know how like a lot of low quality output jacks on guitars just kind of fall apart? The washer comes off, the jack gets all wiggly or even falls into the guitar. As a beginner, you're like, oh shit, I just broke my guitar. Well, apparently that's a big enough problem where a lot of beginners don't know that can be easily fixed, and they just give up on the instrument altogether. So Ibanez came up with a solution to develop a unibody design made of hard plastic instead. I was a little skeptical when I heard about it. It sounded like a cost-saving measure disguised by marketing as a new feature. But you know what? It actually works really, really well. Solid connection, feels quality, so it'll hold up over time. I wouldn't be surprised to see this turn up on the next iteration of Geos, and honestly, this should be a standard feature across their entire budget level of guitars because it is a way better solution than a modular cheap metal output jack. Then on the complete opposite end of the spectrum in terms of features aimed at beginners, you've got the Dyna-MIX switch. This single feature makes the AZES Essentials one of the best budget level mod project guitars on the current market. And that may sound a little dramatic, but it really is a very powerful tool. Essentially, flipping this little guy puts the guitar into a completely alternate wiring mode. It is far too complicated to explain with words, so I'll just throw up the diagram they have on the website. And that's kind of the thing, right? Because I remember as a beginner being very confused by even the 5-way switch. And maybe that's just because I'm a dumbass, but giving a beginner 9 different pickup configurations, that's a lot. Most aren't ready for that kind of sheer tonal power right from the get-go. Like, without looking at the diagram, even I'm confused. What the f is going on sometimes? Picture yourself as a beginner trying to learn 035 or whatever, and then also trying to figure out what on earth this little switch does. There is absolutely no need. It's so much overkill. It makes the AZES Essentials a walking contradiction. It's both a great playing beginner's guitar, which is exactly what Ibanez set out to build, and it's also one of the most confusing guitars a beginner could buy. But man, as a modder, having this wiring already installed on a $300 guitar, it makes it so easy to drop in new pickups to taste. Fully plan on dropping some Seymour Duncans or some bare knuckles into this and really unleashing its potential. The Dyna-MIX switch is a huge feature that sets this apart from other guitars in this price category. It's gonna be a really fun project. Make sure you subscribe and you've got the bell tick for all notifications, that way you don't miss it. But yeah, that's essentially the AZES Essentials. I need a thesaurus. But it's kind of bizarre they've named it this when they've changed a lot of the key features that I would personally associate with the AZES series. And they've changed the fingerboard radius, the scale length. It's a really good playing guitar, but just different to the normal AZ. And that's not a bad thing at all. I really like it, and there are a couple of innovations like the plastic unibody output jack and curved saddles I think should be new standards on budget level instruments. Just again, if you were expecting this to be an affordable distillation of the key AZ features, this is a different beast in its own right. Alright, I got nothing else to say, so that's where we'll end this video. Curious about your thoughts about the AZES Essentials, specifically the changed features, and what do you think about the new innovations on this guitar? Thanks to Luke Kramer for killing it with the demo mix, to Jordan for editing the video, and to Jean-Marc Gerbelo, I hope I pronounced that right, and the rest of the amazing Patreon supporters for allowing us to bring you this content. Social media, merch, and Discord server links are in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I'll see you for the next video.